Hey guys, CBI and Prinsu here today. We're going to be showing you how to install our brand new clamp-on version for our ladder for the Toyota 5th Gen 4Runner. Let's get to it. Alrighty guys, so really quick, before we get started with the actual install, let's do a quick little double check and make sure we have all of our components here. We're going to start off, as you can see here, we have our two ladder side rails. We're going to have our top hook bracket. We're going to have our ladder top cap bracket. We're going to have 4 of these rungs. We're going to have our bottom cap bracket for the ladder, our bottom clamp bracket, and our clamping plate. Those are going to be the main components. You're going to have 3 of these 3M VHB pieces, these small rectangular ones, and you're going to have 1 of these larger 3M VHB pieces. You're going to have all of your hardware. It comes in your kit ready to go, and that's it. Alrighty guys, so quick little overview of some of the tools that you're going to want for this. Right here, what I'm going to be using most of all, I've got a 7/16 socket, I've got a 9/16 socket or a wrench, I've got both here. I've got a 3/16 Allen, a 1/2 inch wrench, and a 1/8 inch Allen. So that's all you're going to need. Alrighty guys, so the first step to this ladder assembly, we're actually going to mate these outer side rails to our ladder rungs here. You're going to need these 1.5 inch long black carriage bolts, a corresponding nylock nut, and a corresponding black washer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our ladder side rails, we're going to line them up. The way we've designed these side rail guys is that we're going to skip every other hole. That way, if you want to, you can move the ladder rungs kind of wherever you want to. It's a little bit customizable that way, but for here, we're going to start at the very top hole, and we're going to skip one until we reach all 4 rungs, okay? So I've kind of got the first rung somewhat in position here. To hold it down, I'm going to take one of those carriage bolts. I'm going to drop it down in through the hole. Okay. Do it for both sides really fast. Okay, and then it's going to be a washer on the back side followed by the nylock nut. Don't worry about tightening them down right out of the gate. We're going to wait till most of the ladder is assembled, and then we're going to make sure it's all square, and then we'll cinch everything down. So just kind of go ahead, loosely attach all of the nuts. Next rung, like I said before, you're going to skip a hole to this next one, carriage bolts. Drop it down in. Okay. Alrighty guys, all of the rungs are loosely fastened onto the rest of the ladder. Now we're gonna work on the top cap bracket and the bottom cap bracket. Alrighty guys, so right here you can see I've got the ladder flipped over on its back like this. We're gonna focus on the ladder top cap really quick. We're gonna take one of these 1.5 inch long 5/16 screws here with a corresponding washer. Same thing, we're gonna be using the corresponding nylock here. And as you can see, you have corresponding holes on this top cap that will mate up with the side rails here. So we're just gonna kind of press that into place. You're gonna take your screw, come from the outside with the washer, and then nylock on the inside. Okay, we're gonna repeat that for the other 3 really quick. Same thing guys, you don't have to cinch these down right out of the gate. We're gonna keep them a little bit more loose until more of the ladder's assembled, and then we'll cinch them all down. As you can see there's our top cap bracket. Now we're gonna focus on the bottom cap bracket. Alrighty guys, so now here we are, we've got the top cap bracket on. Now we're gonna focus on the bottom. Same thing, we have these corresponding, these are gonna be slots here that correspond with these holes, and why we slotted these ones is that it's gonna give you a little bit of adjustment for the bottom clamp on part later on. So same thing, we're gonna line everything up. You're gonna run your screw through. And then you're gonna corresponding nylock on the back. Same thing with these guys. You're not gonna cinch them down all the way just yet. We're gonna wait till a later part of the video. But just make sure you get those started so that pretty much most of your ladder's assembled. There you go. Alrighty guys, so right now we're gonna start kind of cinching down a lot of these fasteners that we just attached to the ladder. You're gonna hold off on the bottom cap bracket, but for the rest of them, we're gonna cinch them down. So we're gonna take my ratchet here, 7/16 socket, and on these little nylocks for the rungs, you're gonna cinch those down. Gonna wanna make sure too that the ladder is staying square. As you can tell, it can kind of shift back and forth. So as you're tightening them down, make sure you're square. Okay, as you can see, we're pretty squared up there. So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cinch down those fasteners on the inside of the top cap. So what you're gonna need, 1/2-inch wrench. We're gonna swap this out for our 3/16 Allen key here. Same thing. You're gonna wanna make sure that the top cap is pressed all the way down. That way you don't have any weird gaps or anything like that. You're gonna hold down that nylock. I'm gonna cinch those all down. Okay, alrighty, there we go. Now we're gonna start focusing on actually applying this 3M VHB piece to the roof of your vehicle so that you can hook the top bracket on, okay? Alrighty guys, so really quick, before we start looking at our measurements for this top hook bracket on top of the vehicle, we have to do a little bit of prep beforehand. We're gonna apply this 3M piece to the bottom side of this hook bracket, okay? Pretty easy. All you really have to do is we're gonna peel off this brown backer really quick. You're not gonna take off the red side just yet, just one side. You're gonna wanna make sure that these edges right here are lining up with these corresponding edges right here. You'll see that there's a little bit of an angle to it. Like I said, as long as you keep these lined up, then you're good to go. So, we're going to remove the brown side, and then now, you're gonna wanna be sure you don't accidentally pre-apply it. Doesn't have to be dead on, but make sure you get it as close as possible. Try to tuck in that piece into that crease as much as you can. Okay, there you go. Okay, alrighty guys. So before we actually get the rest of the ladder set up here, we're gonna actually use this top hook bracket to measure where the ladder's gonna need to go. So really quick, we're just gonna set our hooking bracket in here, just leave it in a spot. Make sure you do not have that red side taken off already. And from this corner right here, you're going to wanna measure 9 5/8 to this inner edge of the bracket right there. I'm gonna slide it over. Slide it over. So we're right there at 9 5/8. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our painter's tape here or whatever you have to mark it. And I'm going to actually mark that inside edge right there, so that when I go to reapply it, it'll be in that same spot. So there you go, ready to go. Alrighty guys, now that we've got that spot all marked out, we're actually gonna remove this backing, this red backing nut, and we're gonna hook the bracket in, and we're gonna cinch it down to this top rear spoiler of our vehicle. Make sure you take your time doing this. Like I said, this stuff is very sticky. It's kind of a do it once sort of a thing. So take your time, make sure you do it right the first time, because if not, it's really hard to get off and you'll probably ruin it. So I'm going to take my knife here. I'm going to start peeling off that red backing. Okay, there it is, all exposed. Set that down there for a sec. Here we go. Make sure to not stick it prematurely, like I'm about to do. Give it a couple of really firm presses to make sure that 3M really sticks to that roof. There you go. Alright guys, so here we go. The top hook bracket is adhered to the roof of the vehicle. What we're gonna do now is we're actually gonna pre-stage this with a little bit of hardware before we get the rest of the ladder up here. In your hardware kit, you're gonna see these really short 3/8 carriage bolts here. They're 1/2 inch long, and these very large 1/2 inch washers. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna slip that over the shoulder of the carriage bolt, and you're gonna wanna slide that up underneath your hook bracket until, set these down. Okay, there you go. You're just gonna wanna leave them sitting there like that a little bit, because if you try to install those with the rest of the ladder on, you're trying to sneak up underneath there, it's nearly impossible. So make sure you do this beforehand. That way, it's a lot easier once you throw the rest of the ladder on. All right, let's grab the rest of the ladder. Alrighty guys, so we have the rest of the ladder right here ready to assemble to the rest of the, or to the hook bracket here. As you can see, you have these slots. These are gonna correspond to that hook bracket and those carriage bolts that are sticking up through. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna hook that up there right now. Make sure you have something soft. I'm gonna use this pipe insulation here to protect the hatch of the front face of the hatch of the vehicle, because the ladder is gonna wanna naturally swing down and hit that. You can use t-shirts, blankets, towels, whatever you have. Just make sure you have something right there to help block it. So, I'm gonna take the ladder and just set it down. Take this, wedge it up in there, and then in your hardware kit, you're also going to have a corresponding 3/8 washer and a 3/8 nylock nut. Those are gonna go on top of those carriage bolts that are sticking through. So you're gonna run those down real quick. Okay, so here we go. Washer, nylock. I wouldn't worry about fastening these down all the way just yet, because towards the end of the install, we're gonna wanna have that adjustment ready to go. Okay, like I said, leave some adjustment there. And now what we're gonna focus on is we're gonna focus on the bottom clamping portion of this ladder. So let's get to it. Alrighty guys, so before we actually get to installing the clamp bracket and the clamping plate to the bottom of the ladder, we're gonna wanna stop and do a little bit of pre-assembly beforehand. Like I said, in your kit, you're gonna have 3 of these 3M VHB pieces, but I've already applied them to these parts here. Like I said, you're gonna be getting this mounting plate in your hardware kit, but all you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take the brown backing off of the back side of the 3M piece and just slap it on one of the sides. The sides don't matter, there's no top or bottom direction, just put it on one of the sides just like that. We're gonna set that aside. And then for our bottom clamping bracket, as you can see here, I already have 2 more of those VHB pieces applied. You're gonna wanna make sure you apply one to this inner face and to this bottom face. Same thing, only take off the brown backer on the one side and apply those really quick. And then we're gonna leave those like that for a few minutes. But this next portion, you're gonna see that we have these little cage nuts. This is gonna help us actually with that clamping motion. And you can see that we have the corresponding square holes down here in the bottom of the bracket. These cage nuts have these little kind of compressible wings that are gonna go down into those square holes, and that's what's gonna hold them in place. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this first one, a little bit of a squeeze in here. We're gonna get one side started, and then I usually like to use a little tool, so I'm gonna use this Allen and push the other wing so it pops into place just like that. Now we're gonna do the other side. Okay, just like that, they're in there. All right, so now what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna show you what it's like to actually install this on the vehicle. Let's do it. Alrighty guys, so here we are, we're down here at the bottom cap bracket. Remember, it's not fastened in all the way. We're gonna keep it like that just for a few more minutes while we install the clamp piece, and then we'll cinch everything down afterwards. But here's the clamp bracket again, just to show you really quick. The clamp, this clamping bracket is going to come up and over the top of this bottom mounting bracket, and it's going to be on the inside face. We're gonna adhere that to the inside face of the hatch here. Obviously we're gonna have to probably remove this piece behind so the ladder can kind of settle down where it really wants to, where it needs to. But really quick, we're gonna grab our fasteners here really fast. In your hardware kit, if you remember, we're going to have these 5/16 by 3/4 inch long cap screws here, these button heads, and those are going to correspond. They're going to go through the bottom hole in this bottom cap bracket and into these press certs that we've provided for you here. So before we do that, this is kind of probably the most important part of this process, guys. We're actually going to be removing the other side of the backing on these 3M pieces, and we're actually going to be sticking it up in there. So be sure you really take your time on this. Take it slow. There's no need to rush, because you're going to want to just do this on the first try and stick it right the first time, or else you're going to have to peel it back off. You'll probably ruin the pads, probably have to get new ones and all that. So really quick, I'm going to take my knife or a pick, whatever you have, and I'm going to remove the red side backing. Okay, there's one. Okay, and there's two. So there you go, guys. The 3M is exposed. Like I said, take extra caution while you're doing this. You don't want to prematurely stick it or anything like that, okay? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna open the hatch. We're probably gonna move these pieces up a little bit so it allows the ladder to kind of sit more where it needs to. And then we're gonna fasten this in. So really quick, gonna open up our hatch. Gonna brace it up like this, okay? Okay, you don't have to run these in all the way either right now, but now we're going to want to make sure that the ladder is as square as possible, guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it, we're going to press that rear face up into the bottom side of that hatch like so. Okay, and there's the first half of the clamping mechanism. Let's work on the second part. So now we're gonna start attaching the actual clamping plate to the inside of this clamping system here. Same thing, we're gonna take our knife here. We're gonna remove the other half of this 3M. Just like that. Okay. As you can see here, guys, on the back side of this clamping plate, we're gonna have two holes here. These little set screws that come in your hardware kit are gonna correspond with this little shoulder there into the holes of those, into this plate here. As you can see, they're kind of offset to one side. You're gonna wanna make sure that the offset side is facing downward inside of the clamp system here. So now what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna sneak that clamp plate behind these cage nuts up against the face of your hatch here, and then we're gonna run our set screws through the cage nuts into the holes and clamp it against this outer side of the hatch, okay? So we're gonna do that really quick. Take our plate, sneak it in there. Try your best not to accidentally pre-apply it, okay? And as you can see, we're gonna wanna get to a spot to where the holes are pretty well in line, and you'll be able to see it through the cage nut. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our set screws. I put just a little bit of Loctite on there. It's probably not a bad idea. We recommend it. That way they don't walk out on you. And then we're going to run them through our cage nuts. And you can kind of look through the side and make sure that that shoulder on that set screw is setting into those holes. Okay. And then you don't want to run down one side completely before the other. Do both sides pretty evenly. Okay, and then you're just gonna wanna cinch them down until they're pretty snug, until you kinda can't twist anymore. Don't go too crazy with it, but just make sure they're pretty dang snug. And that's it, clamping system's done. All you're gonna wanna do now is we're gonna wanna cinch down these screws now, and that's pretty much it. Okay, alrighty. Now we're gonna come back to our 1/2" wrench and our 3/16 Allen again. And finally, now we're gonna cinch down these fasteners here. Okay, there we go. And now we're gonna hop back up on top real quick and finish cinching down those nylocks on those 3H carriage bolts. Then we're done. So like I said, guys, we're gonna cinch these down, but real quick, we're gonna make sure that our ladder is squared up. That's looking pretty good. Then we'll run them down by hand real quick. Okay. Okay. All right, now that those are all fastened down, now we're gonna plug these holes with our extra little plugs that came in the kit. Then we're done. Alrighty guys, okay, so to finish up real quick, we're gonna take these little caps that came in your kit, and we're gonna fill in these holes. That way we don't get any excess moisture down in there. They look like this, and you literally just kind of line them up and press them in, just like that. You're gonna repeat it with the last 3. Okay, that's it guys, you're done. All right guys, that finishes up our installation on our brand new clamp version ladder for the 5th gen Toyota 4Runner. Guys, if you have any sort of comments, concerns, questions, reach out to us in the comments below. Thanks for watching guys, we'll see you on the trails.